Hey guys, so I'm about to go into the garage and make the cuts for the CNC table. So before I go do that, I figured let me go one last time into the computer, make a design, make sure everything works together, and go from there. So I'm going to be doing this in Blender. Uh, I would like to move on to Fusion 360, and that will come soon enough, but I know Blender well enough, I can just go and get things done. So that's what we're going to use today. So I've got my workspace here set up at our first piece, which is actually going to be the top, just to get the overall size and how things are going to line up. So we're going to add our first cube here. Yeah, okay, that's 2 centimeters. So this is going to be, zoom out a little bit. All right, so our X is going to be 49 inches. Our Y is going to be 40 inches for now. That's the actual bottom of our CNC table. So the CNC table is mounted on a piece of MDF that is 40 by 49. So we're gonna use that for now. I think that the pieces I'm gonna add on to it later on might have a little bit of an overhang, and that will allow me to either have a little tray for some tools or to mount the LCD screen and things like that. And then it is 3/4 of an inch thick. All right, so now we have our top piece, and I'm gonna be using scrap. It's actually 2 pieces together, but I'll just screw it all into the top and it won't matter. So, all right, so we have our top. I'm gonna probably build this thing upside down in Blender, and that's just gonna be easier, I think. I'll flip it all over once we're all said and done. All right, so the legs are gonna be 4x4s. So we're gonna add our next cube. All right, and we're gonna make it X 3.5 by 3.5. Okay, so to those of you who don't know, lumber, at least in the U.S., there's a nominal size and an actual size. So a nominal 2x4 is actually 1.5 by 3.5. A 4x4 is 3.5 by 3.5. All right, so that does come into play when you're designing things. So you want to make sure that you know, based on the material you're going to source, that you can actually build per the plan. Otherwise, you start making cuts and then things don't fit. All right, so here's our first 4x4. I'm going to go ahead and scale this on the Z. All right, this is going to be, I'll figure out how big it's going to be, but the overall table I want from the floor to the surface of the machine about 32 inches. So I'm going to model what I can here. Now I'm also putting mine on wheels because my workshop is small. Everything's on wheels, so I can move it around and make some space depending on what I'm working on. So the wheels are about 5 inches overall, I think 4.5 or 5 inches in depth. So then you take that plus the 4x4 plus the top 3/4 of an inch plus the 3/4 of an inch that the machine is on, and you get about 7.5, let's see, 5 and an inch and a half, 6.5 inches. So 32 minus 6.5 is, I'm on the spot now, but 32 minus 6 is 26. So we'll go 25.5 for these. 25.5 inches. All right. Okay. Then we want to line this up with the underside of the table and with the outer corner. Okay. So there's our leg. Now, in order to form the bracing underneath the table, I'm going to notch into the 4x4s, pocket hole, and screw into the legs. So you'll see that when I get to the actual building process. So for now, I'm going to duplicate duplicate the legs. Alright, so now I have the legs. And now we're going to do some, those are the 4x4. So now we're going to add 2x4. So the first 2x4 is actually going to have a Z of 3.5 because it's going to be laying on its side. It's going to have a Y of 1.5 and an X of somewhere around 40. I'm just going to get the board in here. Okay. And then we'll tweak the length, and this is, again, when you model it like this, then you can actually go to the object and get your length. You know, you can get it in millimeters, centimeters, you know, whatever, and then convert, or I think you can change your display size. So maybe we'll do that later. All right, so this piece of 2x4 is going to be flush against the outside, and it's going to be flush down against the top. So you can see that's not, you know, it's not lined up and doesn't overlap into those pieces there. So what I want to do here, so a half an inch is about 12 and a half or 12 3/4 millimeters. We could just call it 12 probably. So what I want to do is I want to overlap into these, actually probably a good inch. So we're going to go an inch into each of the legs and create a notch. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this. You can use the Boolean tool and just use the actual 2x4 to cut it out, or not. I think at this point, just for purposes of speed, so I can go get started on building, that I'm going to go ahead and just overlap the meshes and not worry about the actual cutout. I'll know where to do the cutting out and how big the cutouts are. And I'll collect all that information and I'll provide that to you guys if you want it. Alright, so bring that to the corner there. So this is now perfectly lined up with that 4x4. And then we're going to take it and we're going to move it. You can see in the bottom left corner there, you can see how far you're moving something, whether it's negative or positive. So I'm going to move this about 2.5, and if you hold shift you can get a fine-tuned motion here. So 2.5 and change is fine. Alright, and then from there you can then take the face on this side and move that and snap that to the other one, and then you can do the same thing here. Now the other side stays, you know, this side over here stays fixed. So now you can move this side over here, and you can move that 2.5 centimeters that way. So now we have a 1-inch notch, basically, of overlap where that's going to fit into there. And then I'm going to drill pocket holes from this side into the 4x4 to hold that in place. Okay. All right. So then we're going to take the same piece here that we have, and we're going to duplicate that, slide that back the rear of the machine, the rear of the table. All right. Then we're going to duplicate that piece, and we're going to have a piece that goes across the middle the long way. All right. So this is, I'm going to do a piece like this, and then I'm going to have two sides, and then I'm going to have two going the other way. I think that will help keep things as rigid as necessary for the table. This is going to be a behemoth of a table. It's going to be very strong. Okay. So before I do this one here, I'm going to do the sides. So I'm going to rotate this on the Z by 90 and bring it across here, line it up with the outside of the table. And now we can just tweak things. So we move it over this way. We can get it in line with there. We can move that by the 2.5 centimeters. Okay. Go into edit mode. Move this. Line it up with the 4x4, and then same thing, grab this side, and move it 2.5. Okay. Then we're gonna copy that one to that side. Double check, make sure it's flush. Everything looks good. All right. So there's our basic table. Now we need some cross bracing, right? So we want to make sure that this isn't gonna, warp or twist in any way. So we are gonna go ahead and cross brace this. So we're gonna grab another copy of one of these. Now these are gonna be notching into 2x4s. So this dimension over here is only 1.5 inches, right? So we don't want to go too far in. So I think I'm gonna go about a 1/2 inch in, maybe 3/8. So a 1/2 inch is 12. I'll probably just go 1 centimeter in, just to keep things easy. And we'll just go from there. All right, so line that up with that. You can see how it's lined up. And then I can drag it. I can move it till it's 1 centimeter. And then I can grab this plane right there, that face, line that up with that face, and then drag that to 10 millimeters. Or 1 centimeter. Okay. All right, so that's good there. So those will be notched out and that'll go in there. All right, so now for the cross braces, I'm gonna take the sides and duplicate those. So I'm gonna take one double here and move along the X. And I'm gonna do it again along the X. Okay, so these I want to be as equidistant as possible, right? So if the overall distance from one side to the other is 49 inches, then we can take that and do some math, and maybe I'll put it on the screen here. But so it's 49 inches. This does not divide easily, but it's divisible by 7 very well. So yeah, so basically you just want to, I'm just going to eyeball it here. I'll come up with definite measurements later. So if we bring this up to and even with that piece there, same thing, move it the centimeter over, edit, bring this level or flush with that one, and then move that 1 centimeter in, and we have overlap. Now the joint here where these two pieces are overlapping here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do I think what's called a half lap. This is where you notch out the wood on both sides, and so you've a notch like this and a notch like this, and you basically slot them together like this, and you get a full strong overlap joint. So yeah, so we're gonna try to do that with these, and I'm gonna do the same thing with this one over here. So instead of doubling that work, now that I got that one to the right length, this is the same. So I'm actually gonna delete this one, and I'm going to go ahead and copy that one over. All right. So just mess around with these just to see. Again, I'll do the math while I'm building. I'm going to be doing some fine tuning and some cuts. All right. So I'm also building this with a shelf. And the shelf is basically a duplication of the top. I felt like I don't need it to be any different, so I bought enough lumber to be able to add basically the same structure I'm using on the top to the bottom. So for design purposes, it's actually quite easy because I can just copy everything. All right. So if I grab all of the legs and hide them, what I can do now is I can then use B, I can drag, select all these things, Shift D, Z, and just copy all of that up. Okay, and then Alt H will bring the legs back. Again, same thing. I'm gonna figure out what the height I want to be. I think that I'm not sure if I want to be able to slide things underneath the table, or if I just want to have the most space as possible in the table or on the shelf. The plan is to have an enclosure, so I think that I want to keep it moderately large enough for some sort of vacuum system, but at the same time I also don't want to I don't want to enclose this huge area and then, you know, wish I had more space somewhere else, right? 'Cause I'm already space is already at a premium. So this is yeah, it's either going to whatever. Okay. Anyway, I digress. So I may want to be able to slide some stuff underneath the table, or the slide table over other stuff, just to have the best use of space. All right, so this is looking pretty good. You're looking at it upside down. I'm going to quickly model what will be a placeholder for the wheels, just to give you an idea of what this is going to look like. So we're going to do a cylinder, mesh, cylinder, just make a wheel shape like that. I do know that this is I believe it's a 4-inch wheel. Yeah. All right, so now we have the wheel placeholder in place. I'm just gonna rotate this along Y, 90 degrees, and just move it up out of the way. All right. So we have one wheel. There's a little bit of space there, and that allows us that there's a mounting point and everything. The plate on which this mounts. Hello there. The mounting plate has 4 holes, and it'll bolt into the bottom of the 4x4. All right, so I'm just going to duplicate these over there, and then duplicate X, go there, and I'll just double check my placement of the wheels. They swivel, so they just need to kind of look like they fit. All right, so these two can move over a little bit more. Okay. All right. So now we're gonna flip everything over. I think that's it. Aside from where the pocket holes are gonna be drilled and all that stuff, it's gonna be a lot of pocket holes. I bought 150 pocket screws. It's very possible that I'm gonna use a good majority of those. I also have a bunch of little metal brackets, little angle, 90-degree angle brackets, which in some places I may also use those just to keep things, really tight and really true. All right, so let's go ahead and rotate this on the Y by 180. All right, and bring it up. All right, looking good. I like it. So I think that, like I was saying about the this top here, I think what I might end up doing is bringing this front piece here a little bit longer to have a little bit of a lip, and then that way when I build the machine will come out to the edge of here with its spoil board and everything, and then the enclosure can actually snap down on top here. Alright, so the only thing really left to do is to take a look and see how big these cuts are going to be. Yeah, I guess you've got it. So actually this isn't bad. So this is 3 1/3 feet, which is 3 2/3 feet. 3 2/3 feet, which is 3'8". Basically, it's exactly that. So that's actually not too bad. So 36 36 plus 8, 44 inches, right? I wonder if there's a way to force inches. Maybe not, but it's fine. We'll make do. All right. So what that means is we know that we have so 36 plus 8, 44. Yeah, 44. 44 inches. So we're gonna have 4 cuts at 44 inches. We're gonna have actually no more than that. No, just the 4, right? Because the front and the back, both the top and bottom shelf, but the middle piece does not need to be. Is not the same. It's gonna probably be a little bit longer because it has to go all the way and then overlap into the 2x4. All right, so we'll figure that one out in a second. All right, so 44 inches there. All right, so I'm typing this in behind behind the video here that you see of me. So I need 4 times 44 inches, and that's the front and back beam. All right. The center one here is 3.9 feet. All right, let's 3.9 feet. All right, so I need times 2 of a 3.9 foot, and that's the center long brace. All right, and then now we have the sides. So the sides are 2.92 feet. We'll just do it like that, and I'll convert them later. So I need 4 of those, 2.92 feet, and that's sides. Then that's 4 of those, 2 on this side, 2 on that side, and there's 4 of these, and these are 3.15 feet. There's 4 of those, x4, 3.15 feet. And that's I'll call them the Y braces. All right, now we already figured this one out. So this is 2 1/8 2 1/8 feet. Forget how many inches that was, but all right. Then the only other pieces, I wanted to add some additional side bracing. So let's go ahead and do that now, and then we'll get the sizes for those. But I'll probably install them after the fact once this is all built like this. But they're going to be 2x4s, so we'll duplicate the 2x4. We're going to scale it on the Y just to shrink it down a little bit. We're going to rotate it on the X by 90 to make it stand up. These are going to go in the back here. I want them to stand. I'm not going to do them in the front probably. I may end up doing like a single one in the front just to give a little bit of extra support. But what I want to do here is basically brace all of these 2x4s with the ones that are underneath it, so it gets a really, really strong support system here. So all the way to the back, I think is where I want to go. That should be flush with the edge. Yep. All right, and then I don't know if I'm going to go on top of the top of the MDF that's this shelf here, or if I'm going to cut it out and have it go directly down to the studs. But we'll figure that out as we go. All right, but I do know that I have a 2x4 here, and we're gonna put this even with the top of that, and then we're just gonna bring this up to there. So you can see how that interfaces with, it supports the joint, it supports everything right here. So I could even put that in. I could put a little bracket across these to hold them together. Or I could even notch it out a little bit. I could notch it out and have it sit inside of that. So we'll see once we get started. All right, and then we'll just have another one of these over here. That should be lined up nicely. There you go. So definitely in the back there, I wanted to do that, and then I'm going to do it on the sides as well. So I'm going to grab one of these, rotate 90, bring this down, bring it across, and bring it in, and then bring it back out. Alright, and that should be good. Yep. Alright, and then one more. Move that across. And this comes to the outer edge. And it should be lined up. Yep. Alright. So there we have our table, I think. I think this is looking good. So, let me know what you think about this design. If there is anything that you recommend I do differently, definitely comment. Even if I don't get a chance to incorporate your ideas, there may be some others out there that will. And if they're really good ideas and I modify mine to fit them, I could always do an as-built design so that the others that do decide to build this table, they get the benefits of all of our knowledge. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to take my measurements, and it's time to go start cutting. Thanks for watching.